It's March 2026, and all eyes are on Jerusalem. But here's the thing, it's probably not for the reasons you're thinking. While all the headlines are focused on this new global power structure called the Board of Peace, a lot of people are looking at a completely different map, one that was drawn up almost 3,000 years ago.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? We're witnessing this incredible, high-stakes collision between 21st century politics and ancient biblical prophecy. So let's dive in and see how these two very different worlds look like they're set to collide in one city on one very specific deadline.
Okay, so first, let's unpack the human side of the story. It all really centers on one leader, and a totally unprecedented plan to forge a new global authority with its headquarters right in the middle of Jerusalem.
So what is this Board of Peace? Well, it started out as a proposal to end the Gaza conflict, but it very quickly became something way more ambitious. Some people are now calling it a new United Nations, and it's got the whole shebang, its own charter, its own military force, and a leadership structure that is, well, let's just say it's one of a kind.
And this is exactly where the interpretations just split into two different universes. I mean, to political analysts, making anyone chairman for life is a huge red flag. It's controversial, maybe even authoritarian. But to prophecy watchers, it's something else entirely. They're pointing back to that 2024 assassination attempt where Trump's right ear was grazed, and they see it as a literal sign from the Bible. Exodus 21:6, the piercing of a servant's ear, binding him to his master's house forever.
Then there's this number, 424. For those who see a deeper pattern playing out, this number has become a massive rallying point. And it's not random, it comes from an ancient system of Hebrew numerology.
It's called gematria. And here's the connection they're making. When you transliterate the letters in Donald Trump into Hebrew, their numerical values add up to 424. That very same number, 424, just so happens to be the gematria value for Mashiach ben David, or Messiah, son of David, one of the most significant titles in Jewish end times prophecy.
So with this new authority based in Jerusalem, how is the actual map changing on the ground? Well, to understand the strategy that some people see playing out, you actually have to look back at a 40-year-old document. The 1982 Yinon Plan was an Israeli strategy paper that basically argued for fragmenting its Arab neighbors to guarantee its own security. Now, when you put that old blueprint next to a map of the Middle East in 2026, the similarities are pretty hard to ignore.
And this isn't just theory anymore. We're talking about physical lines being drawn in the sand. The yellow line in Gaza, which was established by the Board of Peace, has created a hard partition, a brand new reality on the ground. For those who support it, this is a tangible step in the Greater Israel Project, an effort to reshape the region's borders to look more like the ones described in the Bible.
But here's the twist. This push for expansion is, according to believers, triggering a response that was predicted thousands of years ago. And that's creating an unbelievable paradox right at the heart of the very board that was designed to create peace in the first place.
The prophecy in Ezekiel 38 specifically names a coalition of nations that will one day attack Israel. For centuries, interpreters have identified these ancient names with modern countries, Rosh with Russia, Persia with Iran, and Togarma with Turkey. Now, here is the absolutely mind-blowing part. These are the very same nations that are now invited to the table, sitting on the Board of Peace in Jerusalem.
And this has given rise to what a lot of people are calling the Trojan horse theory, the idea that this new diplomatic body, created in the name of security, has instead brought Israel's prophesied future enemies directly inside the gates, giving them an official seat in the holy city itself. I mean, let's just take a look at Turkey for a second. They're a founding advisory member of the board, but at the same time, Israel has blocked them from putting any troops on the ground in Gaza. So they're both an insider and an outsider. A really tense, strange relationship that, for believers, fits the prophetic narrative perfectly, an ally who will one day turn. So we have these two powerful forces just running on parallel tracks, a human-led effort to build a new world order, and an ancient prophecy that predicts its violent interruption. And according to believers, these two tracks are set to smash into each other on a very specific date.
October 2nd, 2027. This date corresponds to the end of the Jewish year 5787. A year that some mystical Jewish traditions have pointed to for centuries as being an absolute deadline for the final redemption to begin. And if you just look at the timeline, the pace of all these events is just staggering. I mean, from the board's conception to the deployment of its international forces, everything seems to be accelerating, hurtling toward this single point in time.
So for those who are watching the prophecies, this date is the deadline. It's when a whole series of world-changing events have to take place. They expect the old global order to completely collapse, for the Board of Peace to become the planet's main authority, and for the way to be cleared for a new holy temple. Then, they believe this man-made peace will shatter, and that's the trigger for the foretold invasion.
Which brings us to two profoundly different outcomes. On one side, you've got the prophetic expectation, a literal, divine intervention that ends human government forever. On the other side is a pretty stark warning, not just from modern scholars but from the Talmud itself. Trying to calculate the end has a perfect 100% historical failure rate, and these kinds of predictions can lead to some really dangerous radicalization.
So for those who believe the prophecies, whether this new world order ultimately succeeds or not is kind of irrelevant. From their point of view, its real purpose isn't to bring lasting peace, but to be the final, magnificent human system that fails, right on schedule.
All of these events are unfolding right now, on a countdown to October 2027. The question isn't really whether you believe the prophecy, but whether you're prepared for the instability it might create. We're going to be tracking the developments. Follow along to see what happens next.